This video is sponsored by Gigabyte and specifically their G1 range of graphics cards.
So if you saw my last video, you would have seen me put the G1 1070 up against the Acer X34 to see how it went, but it was only in stock trim. So I put the video up and Gigabyte themselves happened to see it and they said this. They said, let's try overclocking the card and see how far it can go. So let's do it. So as far as the overclocking goes, what I've got in mind is I want to do it in 3 phases. The first phase will be just a stock run, but the difference between this and the last video is I'm going to keep an eye on the card and see how it's behaving as far as temperatures go, as far as the core clock, because we all know GPU Boost 3 can be a bit funny and do some things itself. The second phase will be I'm going to use the overclocking software to push up the power limit and the voltage limit and see if under its own steam it pushes itself even further. Then the third phase will be me doing some manual overclocking to see just how far we can push it. Let's have a look. Alright, so what we're going to do is I'm going to be using, at least to get the initial overclock settings, just Unigen Heaven Benchmark on the Extreme preset. So I'm also using Afterburner to just keep an eye on everything, and that's what I'll be using to do the overclocking. So let's just do a run and see where we sit. Alright, so this is the stock result. So it scored 122.3 average FPS. The score is 3082. Now, the card behaved fairly well at stock. It started at 1962 core, jumped down to 1949 and settled on 1936 megahertz core, which is really nice. The temperature plateaued around 57, 58 degrees and voltage was 1.043. So it's behaving fairly well. It's nice and quiet. I can't hear much of it. And let's see if we now take the limits off it, whether it's going to allow itself to stretch its legs even further. So we'll close that. We'll up this, voltage up, power limit up, and we'll apply that and give it another run. Okay, so there's the run with the limits removed. So we got an average FPS of 122.5. The score was 3086. Now, what I saw from that was that the core clock sat at 1949 and didn't budge the entire way through the test. The temperature went up from 58 to 61 degrees. The power limit was increased slightly, but still nowhere near the 111% that is allowed. And the voltage basically sat up and locked at 1.093 volts, which as far as I'm aware is the maximum voltage allowed through these cards. So it didn't so much stretch its legs as much as I thought it would, but it didn't have to downclock itself for one reason or another. So now let's get onto the manual overclocking and see how far I can push it. What I'm going to do is just the core clock, I'll just put an extra 50 on there just to start with and see how that goes. We'll give it a run. Okay, let me jump in here. So what I'm actually going to do, rather than just bump it up bit by bit and do full runs, the nice thing about Heaven is if you're overclocking in real time, you get a pretty well immediate idea on whether the overclock's going to work or not. So what we might do is change this from plus 50, which actually took it up to 1987 on the core, to plus 100, and we'll see if it likes that or not. So now it's running 2037 on the core. We'll just give that a second, and if it's happy with that, we'll bump it some more. At plus 100 it seems fine. The core clock's sitting around 2037. Temperature has gone up a little bit just to 62 degrees. It's still running the custom fan curve. I haven't found the need to adjust that myself yet. It's only hitting 59-60% fan speed, so let's bump it up to 125 and see how it likes that. So the core now is sitting at 2062 and it seems okay. Usually, as far as I've found in the past, is that it fairly well straight away lets you know if it's not happy. If you bump an overclock in, it will lock up or you'll see some artifacts or something odd will happen. So let's just, in real time, we'll just keep going, see if we can start to figure out exactly where this card's going to be happy. So plus 150 on the core puts it at 2088 megahertz. Hasn't done anything fun yet. Let's jump to 175. All right, so we see there it locked up. So at 175, it didn't like it at all. So what we'll do is we'll just wait for the driver to recover and we'll go from there. All right, so we found that it didn't really like it plus 175. It locked up. The core hit 2116 and then just completely locked up. So we just did a restart. We're going to just confirm at the plus 150 core clock settings and check that that's all right. So let's just have a quick look at that and I'll be back. All right, so we've got it set at plus 150 on the core, which is 2088 megahertz. Now, every now and then I'm just seeing a little flash. So that's telling me that it's very much on the borderline. So I'm just gonna put it back to plus 140. Actually, we'll go plus 125 just to be sure. I just saw it flash again. So we dropped back to 2062 megahertz. And I'm pretty confident that about this point is where this card's, I guess, maximum overclock is going to be sitting. Alright, so what did we settle on? So basically the end result of the overclock was that it was only happy at plus 125 on the core, which took it to 2062 megahertz. It also threw on 250 megahertz onto the memory clock. That's probably got a little bit more in it, but I mean, you're not going to get as much from that as you do when you're overclocking the core. And the end result was 129.9 average FPS. Score was 3272. And as far as the card behaved itself, it sat at 2063 solid the whole time. The temperature was 61, 62. It didn't go any higher than that. The fan speed was at 60%. This is just on auto fan control. It's a little bit loud. It's not what I would call really loud. You could probably manually set that percentage a bit lower and still be within the temp limit and be fine. Voltage sat at 1.093, so the maximum voltage, and it didn't move from there. So not a bad overclock. I know some out there can go a bit further, but as we all know, it's all to do with the silicon lottery. So now let's see how that translates into actual gaming benchmarks.
This is a Gigabyte production. This is a Gigabyte production.
So after all that, we managed to see an across the board improvement of about 7 to 9%, which is really nice considering it only took me about 5 minutes to really dial that in. The card temperature and fan noise stayed nice and quiet, and overall it was a really good result. So thanks again to Gigabyte for sending the card to me, firstly for testing against the X34 and then to see how well it overclocks, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks.